ready for this game. We
Yeah.
saw us lose 2 games in a row. And of course, the Trailblazers aren't particularly great, but I kind of felt susceptible, honestly. Coming into this game, I felt like we could lose 3 in a row here, especially with J-Dub at our starting five. You know, this is something teams have started to figure out. And the Portland Trailblazers have a pretty good starting five right now. I think Klingen's probably playing better than their other starting five, DeAndre Ayton. So I'm happy to see them going in that young direction. But right before the game, Dave, you hit me up and told me some good news, and it really set the tone for the night.
Well, especially because DeAndre Ayton was injured last night.
Yeah.
So Klingen got the start, but we also got the news, 5-10 minutes before the game that Isaiah Hartenstein was going to be game time decision, which OKC doesn't do that unless the player's really ready. Stoked. I mean, the moment that happened, it was just like, okay, this is for real now. We've got somebody that's going to be able to play with a big man. And I'm not saying that Klingen's somebody that you want to have a big guy against, but it does help. It does help that a 6'5" guy is not guarding a 7'4" guy.
Yeah, and we saw the Spurs kind of exploit some size at different points, and we had to figure out how to swing back. And honestly, I can for sure say we wouldn't have won this game without Hartenstein. And the crowd set the tempo as soon as he got up, and as he was checking in. I mean, they let him know they really appreciated him coming to play for us. Yeah, it was fucking great, dude. It was awesome. And then he let them know how much he appreciated them right back by making an impact. And the game was back and forth. There was really no separation. It was like a 6-point game all the way into the fourth. And there was a sequence where Hartenstein blew up a dunk, an alley-oop dunk by Shaedon Sharpe, and then ran out down the court and got an alley-oop dunk for himself. And I mean, there were a lot of things that happened in that game, but that really helped us go from, I think, like a 3 to 5 point lead, and we never really looked back. We were able to extend it to 10. But that fourth quarter, dude, he was everywhere. He had passes behind the back. He had things were happening, dude, with Hartenstein. I had basketball feelings, bro. Basketball feelings for him.
Seeing him by himself, it makes me excited, but him and Chet together is going to be a whole new ball game. Teams are not going to be able to stay up with it. The passing abilities that both of them have, the blocking ability that both of them have. A lot of people would say that our weakest position is center position, but Hartenstein and Chet back and healthy, it's not going to be that position. It's not going to be our weakest position. These guys are for real. And Hartenstein last night, man, 13 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. Just a phenomenal game. But I want to give a huge shout out to our starters, man. They did not miss a free throw. Only 3 of them shot free throws, but we didn't miss a free throw. It was J-Dub 3 for 3, Shea 14 for 14, and Lou Dort 2 for 2. So those guys shot 100% from the free throw line, which really put us in a position to capitalize on this game. Because if we had missed 4 or 5 free throws from our starters, then it's a whole new ball game down the end of the stretch. So just a hell of a job by these guys by icing the game. J-Dub and Shea just doing their thing, man. Again, I think we've had a couple games where they've had 58 or 60 points together. Well, they had another 58-point game together last night. Together, they're just looking really, really good and strong.
Yeah, we needed that because you look at those other starters. I think Wiggins, Dort, and Wallace combined for like 7 points or something like that. It was like so when J-Dub went down with that ankle sprain, it looked like that back end twisted. It was high up there. He grabbed for. It felt like, honestly, like, okay, we might not win this game when that happened. Because if you didn't have J-Dub, and like, honestly, you got to give a lot of props to Chauncey Billups that he's getting a high level play out of these guys. I forget their key defender, but he reminds me of Matisse Thybulle, the way he defends, Shea everywhere. He was getting like big time plays. I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, but youth movement there in Portland, it's looking good.
It's Scoot Henderson, is it?
No, it's that long 6'7" guy.
Camera, whatever.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Like, he's a very nice player. Reminds me a little bit of Thabo Sefolosha. Probably more athletic, longer, probably a little bit better offensive player already. So really good things for them there. But I didn't expect anything else from Portland. I noticed that they were getting some big wins, and we were struggling. And those two things in the NBA can really match up for chaotic things. So Hartenstein came in, and steadied this team in a way that we haven't seen since Chet was out.
And you had Caruso, who had his best game of the year for the Thunder. He only played 15 minutes, but he was incredibly effective. He had 17 points. He had only one turnover, incredible there, 2 steals, 2 assists, and a rebound. But more so, he was just getting up the court. He was creating horrible mismatches when he was on the floor, and he was tipping the ball, and he was just running up the court, getting easy buckets. That's really good. 22 minutes from our rookie, AJ Mitchell. Again, this is another player that we're bringing up a lot. You guys have got to start watching more film of him. AJ Mitchell is going to be a guy that's it's going to demand more and more playing time. And without some of our starters, I wouldn't be surprised if coach ends up going to him as a starter with some of these other guys struggling.
I want to play a quick game, different style, but if AJ Mitchell was drafted instead of Cameron Payne, because I can kind of see Presti looking at it and saying like, oh, they kind of have the same, like you're drafting for the same need when you pick that player. But man, Cameron Payne never developed into the player, at least for the Thunder. Later on, the Phoenix is pretty good, but like he never developed to that level that AJ already is right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
very good point.
Like he plays under control. His shot is within himself. He's got a little bit probably better size, and he really knows how to use that. But in the end, when you look at these players that come from mid majors or schools that you weren't really expecting, and that's where Presti finds a lot of gold. Presti took some chances in the past, and I think some of those chances, the lessons he learned, is paying off. And AJ Mitchell looks like somebody who could easily be missed by every NBA team and go in the second round like he did. But you also look at him out on the court and you're like, this guy's a first round talent in a weak draft. So how do you find those first round talents in the weak draft? How do you make sure they get opportunities? And once they have those opportunities, how do you make sure that you keep letting them grow into the next responsibility? Nobody could have dreamed where Lu Dort is today, except maybe Lu Dort, right? Yeah. But that's where I look at AJ and I'm like, he's got that dog in him. And that, man, Oklahoma City appreciates that.
He's a little bit older for a rookie. He's 22, came from Santa Barbara. For you guys don't know, he was born in Belgium. And he's just a really good all-around guard. And if you look at, I'm glad you brought up some of our other past guards that haven't figured it out in the developmental aspect. But you can't help but wonder if this guy is just getting to the point where he's starting to develop, where he's going to be in 3 or 4 years. And that's why if you look at what coach talks about him and how he talks about him and the way he's playing out there, you got to take a step back and say, at what point, if we're not healthy, is he going to start taking a starting position? Because he's playing well enough to. And he's understanding the game. He understands the offense. He plays defense incredible. To me, like he's one of those guys that I get excited about. And everybody that I talk to that's a Thunder person, I try to always speak AJ Mitchell's praises because he deserves it. He's a special player and needs more recognition.
Yeah, and his ceiling is a lot higher than people think too. You can't really put it on him right now, but there's a couple more moves behind the arc I see him really learning how to do to set up his shot. But once he gets into his rhythm, I mean, it's really nice. It's on us to figure out how to find him open more often. And like you're mentioning, there's an opportunity in that starting role. I don't know exactly what it was about the Blazers that caused Wiggins and Wallace not to play up to like the level that we expect from them. But if they're not doing that and Mitchell is, you better believe coach is looking, and he's not committed to any single person. He likes that roving starter opening. You look at a guy like Hartenstein, a guy like Caruso. These are both starters. You can't start both of them, right? Not when we're full strength. So coach is going to have to leave one player or both coming off the bench and maybe put a guy like AJ in there. And Wallace, he plays tremendous off the bench. Learning how to be a great starter and coming off the bench at a high level are two different things. So we get to mix it up. We get to find different things. We went with Jones the other night as a starter. I think exactly. I'm remembering that right. And I mean, Dave, I know how much you love girth. You know what I mean? And that guy's girthy.
He reminds me like the body, like the way he is out there. It almost reminds me of a young Charles Barkley. Like
Yeah.
the way that he's just like so wide. A young Zion Williamson with not as much muscle, like Dylan Jones is a wide body. And I'll be honest with you, is if you look through the NBA and you look at I would say about 8-year increments, you'll always find a Kendrick Perkins round. You'll always find a player like that. And this is throughout NBA history. So seeing Dylan Jones and seeing that he is a, jack of all trades, small forward, power forward, center, you can throw him in the guard position. To me, like Dylan Jones is going to be somebody special. He just needs time to develop. There's a reason he's a first round pick. And I'm excited about him, but this rookie class is like a silent but deadly class, like one of those farts when you're sitting in church and someone just lets it loose, and it's just like silent but deadly. Everybody around has to start moving. Like that's what this rookie class is like. And I want to say there was a guy on TikTok that redid the NBA draft, right? Just the lottery pick, and they had AJ Mitchell in the lottery. I think he was at 12 or 11. So to me, like that's how far he's climbed. He was drafted 38th in the 30th pick, which was second round. So he's climbed a lot of ways. So I'm looking at this. I'm saying this is a good position for him. So Dylan Jones, sneaky. He's going to get better as time goes on, and he's like a wide body, like Mark said. We need guys like that. And then AJ Mitchell, man, the kid's special. The kid's going to be. That's going to be somebody we're going to enjoy watching for a very, very long time.
Yo, pull up the schedule real quick if you don't mind, and let's talk about what we have coming up. We're 12-4. We're kind of jostling for the first place with the Warriors. We're better than the Warriors.
Sacramento, Golden State, LA, Houston. All of them are doing pretty well.
Yeah, so we're going through a tough little stretch here. You go, especially you say LA, Houston, and the Rockets. They're all in the top 5 of the West right now. Yeah. And I mean, so it's going to be a tough time, but I think there's reason for us to believe that, we could win all of these games. And there's also reason to think that we could lose all of these games. I'm not too worried about it because it's a long season. We're going to have stretches like this. Things are going to happen up and down. We're getting back to healthy every day. You can see more energy, like Jay Will's getting back. And when J-Dub plays the level he's been playing out of just pure urgency, it becomes on the coaching staff to figure out how to continue to get that level of play no matter what. This guy is almost averaging 23 a game, I think, now. If he can push his average up 24, maybe 26 points a game by the end of the season, I know that's asking for a lot. But if he does something like that, then he's obviously a superstar. And I think it's obvious to me that he's a superstar right now, but like he's got to let the rest of the league know that in his own way. And he's starting to do that, man. You mentioned 58 points combined with Shea and Dub. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see because right now, I can tell like Shea's been playing for a few years now, right? He gets it. He knows how rare it is to have another player who's playing at your level when you're an MVP candidate. And that's what's happening right now with J-Dub. And that was what was happening with Chet. So as that all comes back together and the rest of the roster really figures out what they can do also, I mean, it's an exciting time right now to be a Thunder fan.
Yeah, man. You got Isaiah Joe day-to-day. She should be back pretty quickly. You've got Alex Caruso day-to-day. I guess that's the reason you only got 15 minutes is because he got injured. And after that, you still got Chet looking back in January. It looks like Jay Will is December 3rd, tentatively. And that's it, guys. So we got a couple more guys before we get healthy.
I wanted to, before we get out of here, man, because we got a lot going on that's not Thunder that's worth talking about. I wanted to dig into that a little bit. Tell me what's up with our picks. Right now, the Clippers are slipping, but they're hanging on Norm Powell by the ghost of Norm Powell. Somehow the Clippers are relevant, but it's not going to hang on for all season, I don't think. And somehow the Sixers are a clusterfuck, bro. Like you were hitting me up saying stuff that honestly, when you said it, I thought it was kind of crazy. But then like I saw this
That's normal.
YouTuber, bro. I was like, shit, dude. He's saying the exact same thing. I think his like is like AM Hoops or something. He's got like hundreds of thousands of followers, so I immediately respected him more than I respected you, which I feel bad about. I'm not bragging about that. I'm like, shit, dude. How did that happen? But he was talking about Joel Embiid being done for the season, and if that's true, then the Sixers should shut it down and probably move on past the entire Embiid.
Bro, you want to hear it worse,
okay.
man? I woke up this morning and I saw Paul George hyperextended his same knee that he hyperextended last time.
What?
Yeah, dude. So that's that.
But here's the thing. No, okay. So that pick is top 5 protected. Okay,
top 7.
East,
top six.
Okay, top 6. The East is such a clusterfuck that they could be without all like those 2 guys, and Maxey could go down, and they could still fall out of the top 6.
Maxey's still gone for another 2 weeks too.
I know, but it could be like all season for all these guys, and they could still not make a top.
So this is the thought here. Is right. Philly could be looking at it like top 6 protected. Next year, I think it's unprotected. Top 6 protected. They're like looking at it like we're screwed. Like we don't have any future assets. These guys are getting old. We're injured, really injured. Let's just tap down everybody. Let's trade Embiid. Let's keep Paul George and Maxey, and let's try to get a player, Cooper Flag, whatever you want to say, and go and just tank, essentially. We got a team around them. We can get a top 3 pick, top 4 pick. Listen, that's the only way that we don't get this pick. Because if all of a sudden their players come back and they're ready to play, they're going to barely make the playoffs. And it's going to be, I don't know, top 7, top 8.
Right. And we've seen that before. Right. And right now the Clippers pick is somewhere around like 14. But if those things kind of averaged out, dude, is there a world in which we got 2 top 10 picks?
Oh yeah, like I would say this is that we're more like likely to get 2 lottery picks, which is top I think 12. But I would say this. Let's just go through it right here. We get Houston or LA Clippers pick, right? Clusterfuck of how it all goes around. But LA Clippers pick is looking like shit this year. Like I'm sorry, they've got a decent team playing right now, but through the longevity of the season.
Right, it's not going into.
These guys are gonna fizzle down, and I think that will end up probably being a top 8 or 9 pick. 8 through 12 is my guess right there. You've got Utah protected 1 through 10. They suck balls. Like
that's not coming through. But they're doing that on purpose. They don't want to give us anything.
Exactly. And then the Philly one is 1 through 6. That's great. The last one I want to throw out there is Miami's pick. It's 1 through 14 protected. So that one could very easily land at 15, 16, 17, and we pick up that one along with 2 top 10 picks, which would put us in a position to really, I don't know, capitalize, I guess you could say.
So obviously, like there's a lot of attention being paid to one name in this draft up top, right? And cool. I mean, I think he's got game. I think he's like you look at like historical consensus number ones. Blake was pretty great when he came out of college. But previous to Blake, I can't think of a consensus number 1 that would be comparable to Cooper right now. And, going back to like LeBron, he didn't go to college, but like it's been a while since there's been a consensus number 1 out of college. Maybe Tim Duncan that like was able to get everybody's attention this way. And it's exciting to see. But I'm going to fuck up his name. But there's that kid right now that he's pretty special, bro, from BYU. You know what I'm talking about?
Igor.
Yeah, dude. Igor. What the fuck, dude? That guy can ball. And so this top of the draft is starting to get like shape up to be really, really interesting.
Bro, it's better than we've seen in years. I would say this is that we've seen in our lifetime a really good 1-2 pick. Paolo and Chet, like in my opinion, could be like known as one of the best 1-2 combo drafts. But let's get into this. The potential here: Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, Igor from BYU, VJ from Baylor, Trey Johnson, another player from Duke who is incredible shooter. His name is Khan and
Yeah.
Knappel. I can't even say his name.
Yeah, I
Another
know.
player from Duke that's a center. Like, I'm telling you guys, like,
Here's
there
the
is
thing about the other guy
tactful.
you mentioned. Let's talk about our favorite players, bro. Like, because, I mean, how do you feel about Johnson from Texas? I feel like he should be top 3.
I mean,
But
on a typical basis, yeah, dude, he's a freshman averaging 28.2 points a game, bro. Like, he needs to be up there. But the problem is Ace Bailey is that good. He is that
is
good.
he?
And the other thing, yeah, and the other thing is Dylan Harper, bro. I know his dad played hoops and stuff like that, but those two guys are next level. Those two guys are going to demand a ton of respect. They might not go 2 and 3, but if he's not going to go 2 or 3, I'm going to see Igor that's going to jump up there and somehow get to the number 2 pick, and then you could see Trey Johnson going number 3. My point about this is that you could see 9 different guys going in the top 5, really solidifying
So
there is one top player right now, and all the other positions are just
this reminds me a
because
lot
they're
of
so
like
good.
the J-Dub draft, formerly known as the Josh Giddey draft. But like, really, like, if you find yourself in a situation where we had the 11 and 12 in that spot, we had to trade for those. But there are things that can happen when there are this many players that can kind of transition in and out. When Presti sees this guy, and there's this much variance, you can find your guy at 11 or 12. Like, there are these, it happens. Like, go back and look at the guys who are picked between 10, 11, 12, and 13 over the last 5 drafts, 10 drafts, and you'll see all-stars. And Presti's a great guy at picking these guys out. So if he can get his best option and his second best option in a draft like this, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we don't like talking too much about the drafts, but it's hard not to pay attention because Presti made some really good investments in some of these picks, and these teams are now floundering or on the verge of falling off a cliff. And I mean, I feel a little bit greedy to be this good and also be watching the draft at the top at the same time. But I guess you can have your cake and eat it too.
Well, and we're not
Bitches
done.
love cake.
we're not done seeing guys move up here. There's so many centers in this draft. One of my favorite centers is Rocco from Australia. The dude can straight up play. Not getting a lot of love in the draft board, but that's okay. There's places that Sam will be able to go and draft that typically we would not see a top talent player. But this draft, people will fall. It's not about if we get a chance, obviously, to get Cooper Flagg from the Clippers pick, we take it. But other than that, like, I really don't care where we fall. Like, this doesn't like stress me out, because out of all the drafts that I've seen in recent history, I know for a fact that this draft is designed around Sam Presti. Unlike anything else I've ever seen, he'll be able to have 2 or 3 picks in this draft and be able to get the players that he wants, that he knows that are going to take us into the future. And that to me is a pretty powerful moment, because next year we get Utah's pick. Next year we get to cash in on any pick that we don't get this next year. This is it. Like, this is the draft that we want to be 100% invested into and get as many players and top athletes that we possibly can get out of.
Do you really think the Sixers are going to shut it down?
Listen, if they're afraid that it's too big of a hill to climb, yes, I do. And the reason is because they look at it like, if we even try really, really hard and we only get to top, pick 8, we don't even make the playoffs and we get pick 8, then it was a failure. But if we don't try and we say, hey, we're just going to try to go for this next draft and trade Embiid and try to reset, no one's going to hate that in Philly. They've seen it before.
Let me ask you this.
You got to throw out the trust the process.
What if they wanted to trade Maxey for their pick?
Yeah, dude. First of all, I don't think Maxey is a borderline superstar, and I don't think that they would do that unless they were 100% buying in to Embiid and Paul George, and that was that.
Well, and they also wanted that, like, to ensure that they would get their pick, which could be like an number 8 pick or something. Would you do it though? Would you think Sam would do it?
I mean, Maxey, yeah, dude. Like he's one of
Yeah.
those players that I love. Like he can take over a game on offense or defense. He can take over a game. He challenges Embiid in the locker room. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
So would you
He's
give
the type of
anything
guy.
else up for it? Would you do get like be like, hey,
Listen. If we had a top 6 pick, or let's just say we had pick 7, right, pick 8 or whatever, and they were like, listen, we want to keep our pick. Here's Maxey for that. Cool. I mean, if we had the LA Clippers pick and they Philly was sitting at 4 and we had the LA Clippers picks and it was sitting at 6 and they said, you want to trade Maxey for 6? We'd say, yeah. Like Maxey's one of those players that's a difference maker. Yes, the money would have to make sense and we would have to trade some players out.
yeah, we're just dreaming, guys. We're just dreaming.
But Maxey's, you don't say no to a player like Maxey. I'm sorry, you just don't for one pick.
I know you like him a lot, but I was wondering if you would trade like a number 7 pick. That's you get a J-Dub with that pick.
No, I hear you, but like, let's just take in history of the game. How many times would a team turn down a player like Maxey to go and pick the 7th pick in the draft as a complete dice roll, bro? That looked like a jack off, but no, like a dice roll. You know, that still looked like. All right. Anyways, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you don't turn down players like Maxey. Like you just don't for one draft pick. You just don't. Like if it was number 1 Cooper Flag for Maxey,
it's also a money thing.
Fuck off.
You know what I mean? Like, it's also a money thing.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's not just.
We would have to trade players out. It would have to happen, no doubt.
But it's fun to think about because I think the Sixers are starting to feel this pinch, and that pinch is the fact that we got them by the balls.
Yeah, dude.
I hope they get used to that.
Dude, we just take names, bro. All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Yeah.